Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? So, here today on the Maps channel, we're going to take a look at the very lovely Scandinavia and Finland using this Michelin road map that I bought. Tourist sites are included in the Michelin Green Guide. Area maps included are Stockholm, Helsinki, Oslo, Copenhagen, Bergen and Gothenburg. So let's open up this lovely map and take a look at what's inside. So the southern tip is here. I'm just going to flip this over quietly. He says, because we've got Denmark, and Skåne. So to give some historical context to this area, this is the so that's Germany, it says there, Deutschland. This peninsula here is all belonging, up to this point, to Denmark. So this is mainland Denmark, and there are quite a few islands as well. This is Fyn, then Sjælland, here, where the capital Copenhagen is. And there are a couple of other islands, notably Rønne. Rønne is the city, town on Bornholm. And despite Sweden being here and Denmark being over here, this is still part of Denmark. But apparently they speak a very curious accent of Danish. It's a little bit more Swedish. And you'll see the Øresund Bridge, Øresundbron, which links Copenhagen to the large city of Malmö. I think Sweden's fourth largest city. And this area here is called Skåne. So this, actually quite a lot of it, maybe further up but definitely down here, would have once belonged to Denmark. And so this is in English Scania, from the Latin I think, and they speak a dialect of Swedish that confuses some linguists. Some people just say it's a certain Danish version of Swedish, but there are some linguists that suggest it's a completely separate language altogether. And they have more words that are related to ones in Danish, and also some people pronounce the letter R, as they do in Denmark, as a rolled R rather than a trilled R like they do in the rest of Sweden. Helsingborg here is also just a little boat trip away from Helsingør, I think it's called on this side. Helsingør, I think. It's a really small journey, very short journey. Or you can go across the bridge. Okay, so that's a little bit of context. Also, if I understand internal Danish humour a little bit better, well enough, they also have a little rivalry between the people who live on the mainland and the people on the islands, particularly this island because it's where the capital is. And so I think Aarhus is the largest city on the mainland Aalborg is pretty big as well. And then you've got Randers and Horsens, Vejle, Koling, Esbjerg. What's that? Herning, Viborg. But I think that Aarhus is that. Maybe if you want to join in the comments and let me know. Is Aarhus considered to be the sort of mainland Danish capital? Almost. And then Odense, on this island here of Fyn, is also a large city. But we also have lots of islands down here as well. There don't seem to be any big cities here. New Kuben, Falster is on that one. So that's pretty Denmark. And also very flat Denmark. It's not a great map for showing mountains, but what I would say is there aren't any. Denmark, particularly the mainland here, is extremely flat, which is why lots of people go around on bicycles. You also have a really beautiful area here, where there are lots of canals which go through Aalborg, Skive, for example, Randers. Very beautiful wetlands here. It's even a national park of natur there. And then you got the southern tip of Sweden. So it goes all the way down from Ystad, Kristianstad, Karlshamn, Karlskrona, Ängelholm, Helsingborg is there. You've got Kristianstad, Lund, which is a big university town, city. Very beautiful. Trelleborg. And then internally we've got Ljungby, Växjö, Nässjö, Varberg, Falkenberg, Halmstad, and then Kalmar, where there's a beautiful castle, stunning medieval castle, and you can get across to the island here. And if you continue going up the country, which is an extremely long country, you can see other places like Västervik, Oskarshamn, Vetlanda, and then you've got this area here with lots of internal lakes. Jönköping, the large city of Borås is here, but not as large as the second largest city in Sweden, which is Gothenburg, in Swedish Göteborg, which is on the coast. And I hinted and I said that Jönköping was close to some lakes, and there's also an even bigger lake here. Mariestad, Linköping, Vännäsbo, Säffle and Karlstad, Kristianhamn are all around those ones. And then over here you've got Örebro, around some lakes as well. Sjöping, Västerås, Eskilstuna. And down here you've got a large city of Norrköping as well. You've got all the Sjöpings, as I say. Linköping, Linköping and Norrköping. But we can see creeping into view over on the west here as we go up Sweden. We can see this here. This is the border. And it is bordering Norway. And Norway is famous for having lots of fjords. And up this fjord we can see the capital city of Oslo. Lillestrøm is just outside, which is sort of in the larger metropolitan area. We can also see Drammen and so many other places like Fredrikstad, Sarpsbo, Tonsberg, Skien, Kongsberg, Honnefoss, Hamar, Elverum. Such pretty names. This is now very mountainous in contrast to Denmark. Very, very mountainous area here. In fact, this is so mountainous you usually have most of the population centres on the coast of Norway. Which leads us over to this side. So we got Kristianstad, Arendal, Mandal. You can see them, sorry. Kristianstad, Arendal, Mandal. Is Arendal from Frozen, maybe? Flekkefjord, so again, lots of fjords. Sandnes, Stavanger. And then this is very beautiful. They say that if you include all of the coastline with all these little inlets, if you just measure it from A to B, Norway doesn't have that long a coastline, but if you were to measure every single inch, every nook and cranny, after Canada, Norway supposedly has the most coastline of any country in the world. When you consider that Russia has a northern coastline technically, although it's in ice. And Argentina, much larger countries, Brazil. That's how intricate all these fjords are. And then we can see up the top here, Bergen. Okay, so we are now in the northernmost part of the southern tip. We're nowhere near the north. I don't know where I was going with that. So this is still just the the southern tip, excuse me. And you can see lots of other places. Hermansverk, Fude, Florø, I think Florø, Ålesund, Molde, Kristiansund, and the larger city of Trondheim. Sounds like something from a Thor movie, doesn't it? Levanger, Steinkjer. Just another shot. Steinkjer. And then this is the border that runs alongside Norway and Sweden. So back into Sweden now we can see Östersund, just here on another. This is Storsjön, the big lake, Storsjön. Strömsund is also here. flip it, we should see quite a lot of Sweden. It's going to be noisy, so I'm going to do it off camera. Okay, we went down a little bit before we go back up, because I can't obviously miss the capital of Sweden, Stockholm, this archipelago of little islands and waterways. We can also see Nyköping, one of the Sjöpings, Södertälje, and Uppsala, one of the larger cities in Sweden, as well as Gävle. This coastline here, we're going to talk about this place in a second because it needs some explaining, but before I do, let's just take a tiny little look at Gotland, one of the Swedish islands, with the capital of Visby here. Okay, so that's a Swedish island. However, this is not a Swedish island. This is called Åland, and its capital is Mariehamn, and they do speak Swedish here on this island, but despite it being really close to Sweden and them speaking Swedish, it is a part instead of this country. And this country over here is called Finland. So Finland with Turku, Åbo. Lots of places, particularly on the coastline here, have two names, one being the Finnish name and the other being the old name that it would have been in Swedish when Sweden were controlling this area of the world. So Turku, but in Swedish Åbo. You can see Pori, and the Swedish name for that is Björnebo. And then this one at the top here, Kristiankaupunki, Kristianstad, oh Kristinestad, sorry, Kristiankaupunki, can't read, Kristiankaupunki, Kristinestad. We can also see the city of Tampere here in the middle. Yes, that place is called Nokia because Nokia, the company, are Finnish. And we've got this other city, Lahti. But down the sort of larger metropolitan area of Espoo, in Swedish Espoo, is the capital city of Helsinki, which in Swedish there's a version is Helsingfors. So this here is Vanta as well. It's quite a large area. Porvoo, I think in Swedish it's Porgo. And then Kotka, Kouvola, Lappeenranta. And then this border is a curious one. You might recognize this word, it's Russia, Russia. Because you can actually see how close Helsinki is to the second city in Russia, which is St. Petersburg, which is just here across the border. Historically, this area used to be part of Finland, but after they lost the war with Russia, they had to give them some land. So you can even see in Russian Vyborg, which used to be a part of Finland. It's now Vyborg in Russian. So this, and you can see all the water. It's very full of water, very beautiful. Lots of ability to use boats. I think a lot of people own boats in Finland. Okay, so let's go north again then. We can see just about, I might have to angle you funny. Söderhamn. So after Gävle, up the coast, Söderhamn in Sweden, Hudiksvall, and then the city of Sundsvall, before we get up to Härnösand. So just open it up a little bit more quietly. Now we can see where Sweden meets Finland. So we've got the cities of Umeå on the Finnish side, Vasa, Jakobstad, Nykarleby, I think it says, Kokkola, Kalajoki, and then the city of Oulu. The Swedish version is Uleåborg. And there's a large city I didn't miss out on the Finnish side, not far from the Russian border, Joensuu, and Kuopio here in the middle. And then apart from that we got Rovaniemi, but Finland continues to go all the way to the north, where in fact it's going to border with Norway, because Sweden stops and Norway and Finland join. That's really interesting, we'll see that in a second. But before we do, we need to show you Piteå here in Sweden, Arvidsjaur, Luleå, and Malmberget. And lastly, one of the largest towns in the northern part of Sweden, this is Kiruna. So if you look carefully, you've got this border here. This is Norway, Narvik. This is Sweden, and then this is Finland again. And not forgetting, this is Russia. You can see a lot fewer cities up north because it's very cold in the winter and dark as well. It has the strange phenomenon of being, for a couple of days in the summer, it never gets dark, and then a couple of days in winter it never gets light, which would be quite depressing, I imagine. Okay, so just as I said, we've got the border here, Narvik of Norway, Tromsø, which is quite a large city actually. Norway tends to have larger cities this far north, but Sweden and Finland don't. And this part gives it away. It says, before we look at Hammerfest, which is just up there on these islands, very beautiful. Alta as well. And Tromsø itself is absolutely spectacularly beautiful. Troms or Finnmark. So this area here is considered to be ethnically very similar with the original peoples before the push of the Germanic peoples from Norway and Sweden. So the Sami people live here and they have their own language. And this is considered to be where Santa Claus lives. And that's usually in Finland. I'm not exactly sure, but it's around this part of Finland. So we can see that Sweden ended down there. This is Norway. This is Norway. This is Finland. And Norway actually goes so far, just for this section there, that tiny little bit off camera, on camera now, this tiny little bit here, that is Norway's border with Russia. Because you've got Murmansk here, one of the largest cities, this far north in Russia. This is the Russian coast, this little bit here is the border between Norway, which, if you remember, was two countries over a while ago. There was Finland and Sweden between Norway and Russia, but actually it curls up over the top and just says hello to Russia here. And then goes back to Finland. And that is that. So I hope you like this snapshot and little explanation of the geography and a little bit about history and culture of Scandinavia and Finland, the Nordics. I hope you liked all the gentle map sounds and the map tracing as well that took place. If you did, don't forget to click like for me, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here, leave a comment particularly correcting if I said anything incorrect when I was talking. I was all off the top of my head, so maybe I got some stuff wrong. And lastly, if you love the channel, then consider supporting me just a tiny bit more on Patreon. Info in the box below. Just click to open it and read and get the link where you'll find extra videos every month, regardless of which tariff you sign up to. The lowest tariff gets you the same perks as the highest tariff. It's just for anyone to join. I'm not greedy, but you get extra stuff if you do join and support the channel. Help me buy stuff like this. Good night everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support. Sleep well and see you again soon.